And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing as a silent witness. We are discussing end time prophecies and the Middle East. As always, I'm with Rick. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing fine. A little cold though, but
A little cold in Chicago. It is still March. It's still March. Well, is there anything going on in the Middle East, Rick?
it's been pretty quiet over there
pretty quiet
lately.
over
I had a lot. It was a hard time trying to find some material
Yeah.
for this podcast.
Yeah. So as always, we're going to first go through the Middle East updates, and then we will turn to our spiritual discussion. I'll give you the verse now. It is Ezekiel 39, verse 1. Son of man, prophesy against Gog. Thus says the Lord, behold, I am against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Who is Gog? Where is Meshech and Tubal? We'll discuss those later on. But before we get to the biblical discussion on end times, we're going to do updates. Rick, we have the first update is what now?
Just a general update of what's been going on.
Here we go. Here's the first one.
Yeah, hey, Lawrence, good morning. The Israelis and the Americans are going after new targets today across Iran, striking the capital city of Tehran and a variety of positions in western Iran. They're putting new pressure on the regime, and we heard from U.S. Central Command this morning who indicated that more than 100 Iranian Navy vessels have been taken out since Operation Epic Fury began just over 2 weeks ago. Into the third week of this operation, you can see some video here from the Iranian capital overnight. Black smoke rising from the horizon after a significant strike there. Again, not only the storage facilities of Iranian missiles are being targeted, but also the production lines to prevent the Iranian regime from rearming. As these strikes continue, they are expected to intensify in the hours and days ahead. International focus does remain on the Strait of Hormuz, where the Trump administration has indicated they're calling on other countries around the world to participate in pressuring the Iranians and allowing the safe passage of vessels. This is where 20% of the world's oil passes through on a regular basis. President Trump was asked this weekend about that possible coalition.
Talking to countries about policing the straits, because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. But China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. Nice to have other countries police that with us. And we'll help, we'll work militarily.
As the United States and Israel put this pressure on Iran, there are still ongoing attacks against Israel and Gulf countries. There are far fewer due to the fact they've been quite successful in hitting the launching positions of these ballistic missiles. There was a number of impacts in Israel on Sunday. You can see in this aftermath video here the result of a cluster munition that wasn't launched toward a military target, but rather the civilians of Tel Aviv. The Iranians still talking tough, and we heard this weekend from Iran's foreign minister who said this.
I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked.
So we'll pick up with him with the next video. But Iran is still saying they're good. Right?
Yeah, they're good. We got everything under control.
If you
things
attack
are
us, we're gonna hit you back. And like, oh my.
Things are not what they appear. I think they're looking through a different filter than the rest of the world's looking at right now.
Well, they're lying to their people. And again, we've said this before. They would rather die than give up power. They'd rather die and go meet those virgins.
Right.
Before they.
Well, I don't know if they have enough virgins down there right now. With all the people
seem like they keep putting leader down one after another. It's just wow. Okay. All right,
there's like saw another over 400 leaders have been killed. Yeah. Between Hezbollah, Iran, and Hamas.
And they're saying they're not even sure that the guy who's the Ayatollah is still living.
Right.
He's smart. He finally stopped giving press conferences.
Maybe he can't.
Maybe he can, or maybe he's there. Hey, the other two didn't fare out well. So, all right, here's the second update. Here we go.
I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked. And they will attack any energy infrastructure in the region which belongs to an American company or an American company is a shareholder. So the reaction would be clear.
The reality is the Iranians are already targeting civilian infrastructure all around the Gulf. But as this is taking place, the Israelis are looking to the east, but also to the north, to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. You can see some strikes here that took place in the aftermath in the Dakhia neighborhood of southern Beirut. We also learned overnight Israel has formally now launched a ground operation into southern Lebanon to bring the fight against Hezbollah. This is described to Fox News as a limited operation at this point. Reports do indicate hundreds of thousands of Israeli reservists could be called up in the event of an expanded maneuver. Guys?
So far, Hamas is staying out of it, even saying some things that that they're distancing from the war specifically, right?
Yeah, there are a number of regional proxies in the area that actually haven't yet gotten involved in this war. And that's not to mention the Houthis in Yemen that still have drones and ballistic missiles that they could fire at Israel or Gulf countries if they decided to get more directly involved. At this point, though, it has been contained, at least from the perspective of the Israelis, to a two-front conflict. Guys?
Okay. Thank you, Trey. All right, now let's go to Steve Harrigan, who's live at the Iran-Armenian border.
Okay, so...
Yeah, right now, everyone's focused on Iran, but Lebanon is a mess.
Yeah.
Hezbollah, but this big neighborhood is a Shiite neighborhood, Dahale or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But everyone in southern Lebanon has been told to evacuate. They say there's 400,000 people evacuated southern Lebanon.
I heard this morning on the news that Israel has started the invasion of Lebanon. So they went in this morning.
So
somehow.
So all these buildings and infrastructures and residential areas did not save Hezbollah, and the people are paying the price because they made a deal with the devil.
Yep. And they're coming to get the devil, and they're getting caught in the crossfire.
That's right. And Hamas, I bet they're just digging tunnels as fast as they can over in Gaza.
Yeah, Hamas is still there.
Gaza's still there, but I think when Iran's finished and Hezbollah's finished, then the same thing's going to happen to Gaza.
Yeah.
They're just going to demolish
it. But Trump said they're going to disarm. That's what he said. I guess they didn't hear him.
Unless they did that last night before midnight, I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah, Hamas is not. Again, these people clearly, they would rather die.
Yes.
They would rather die than surrender. All right, here's the next clip.
Apologies to just interrupt you. We just have some more major breaking news that Israeli media is now reporting that Ari Larijani has been killed, that he is dead. This is according to breaking Israeli media reports. Shiren, have you got confirmation about this? So Ari Larijani, just to remind our viewers, is the most senior Iranian security official in Iran. Shiren, firstly, have you got confirmation that he has been killed? And secondly, can you tell us what his role has been in the Iranian regime?
Well, look, this is one of the highest commander forces. Before I came to the interview, and this was just a few minutes before I checked, we didn't have a final confirmation, but the assessments here in Israel are that he was eliminated. And you need to understand that in that pattern, especially of the last few days of breaking, the actual regime's backbone, we see all the cracks that are already happening.
We've just got a pause from Shiren Haskell there, but until she comes back, this is the most significant news since the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. If it is confirmed, and it looks like it is, that Ari Larijani has been killed, Iranians will be celebrating both his demise and that of the besieged leader responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of Iranian. All right, Shiren, we have...
All right, so again, another major leader in Iran is no more.
So this is the third, if you want to say president or guy in charge. First it was Ali Khamenei, then his son, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, and now he's the guy in charge of everything. And I guess everybody's looking at that list to see who's next on the list because, it's a suicide mission. These guys, I'm up.
But it seems like they'd rather die, right?
I know. They just can't
keep going. They keep going.
So the Iranian people should be high. The thing is, the hope is that one of these generals will go to the other side and say, "Hey, I'm taking the military. We're quitting. We're gonna stop this. We're gonna be for the people now." And if one of the Iranian generals changes sides and brings what's left of the army with him, that's one of the only hopes for a regime change.
What was the IGC? What's it called?
Iran Revolutionary Guard.
RF.
IRGC.
IRGC.
So
they said that those are the ones are true believers, and whoever controls that actually controls the country. So the guy that they just killed, he was an
IRGC.
IRGC. He was the head of that, and he's the most senior guard officer.
Right.
So they were saying he's even more powerful than the son. Now, we haven't gotten confirmation that the son is dead yet, right? They've talked about it. The Iranians have not acknowledged that he's dead.
I just saw a podcast. They says, well, if he's alive, come out and tell us you're alive.
He's like, no, don't want to do that.
Well, just posters.
I want to stay alive.
Yeah, but he's not even verbally. You don't even hear his voice. He always has a moderator saying this is what he says.
My son says he's already out of the country. He's in Russia.
Well, he's either out of the country or
getting
dead.
surgeries or something. Yeah.
So
we don't know. All right. Here's the next update. Here we go.
Why is the United States having a hard time protecting the Strait of Hormuz? At first glance, the answer seems simple. The U.S. Navy maintains one of the most powerful fleets in the world, but the geography of this narrow waterway changes the equation. The Strait of Hormuz is only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, with just 2 shipping lanes, each roughly 2 miles across. Yet nearly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through this corridor every day. That means even small disruptions can have global economic consequences. Iran has spent decades preparing for exactly this scenario. Instead of relying on large warships, it built a strategy around asymmetric warfare, fast attack boats, coastal anti-ship missiles, naval mines, and armed drones. Intelligence estimates suggest Iran possesses thousands of naval mines and dozens of mobile missile batteries positioned along the coastline and nearby islands. During periods of tension, Iranian forces have repeatedly conducted swarm exercises, launching dozens of small boats simultaneously. At the same time, shore-based missile systems can target vessels moving through the narrow shipping lanes. For the United States, the challenge is scale and proximity. Warships can patrol the strait, but they cannot be everywhere at once. Clearing mines, intercepting missiles, and monitoring hundreds of small vessels at the same time is a complex task even for a modern navy.
So, we've been talking about the Strait of Hormuz now for 2 weeks, nonstop. There you have it, folks. It's about oil. Trump says we get less than 1% of our oil from there, though, right?
correct.
But
China gets 90% of their oil.
90%. But here's the thing. People say, well, that doesn't affect us at all. Well, no, think about it this way. If China doesn't get their oil from there, they're going to get it from somewhere else, which means they're going to go to open market, which means you're going to be a higher demand open market, which means higher demand, higher prices. So China's going to try to replace that oil from somewhere.
Well, they're going to go to Russia for sure.
Russia can't. Well,
I don't know how much they can supply to.
I'm not sure how much Russia can offset that. That's an awful lot to offset.
Right. And I don't know if I'd want China down there in the Straits of Hormuz with all our military there too. I don't think that would be a very good alliance. But
I'm pretty sure they said that Well, I saw a report that Iran said they will not attack Chinese ships. They're going to only attack U.S. and Israelis.
Right. They did
allies.
say that.
Yeah.
They did say that.
But yeah, they continue to shoot up their neighbors. Wow, it's just I don't
Civilian
understand.
targets. With all the bombing that America and Israel has done, we have not hit any residential areas.
No, because we don't try to do that. They shoot for residential areas. All right, here's the last update.
Israeli Air Force, in very unique ways, based on intelligence information, was able to struck and eliminate the besieged soldiers operating at checkpoints in Tehran. Those are the repression forces that are responsible for violence against the Iranian protesters. In addition, today, through the page identified with the Mossad, a direct appeal was made to the Iranian people. In addition, footage from the field shows heavy destruction at a police station in the heart of Tehran. Footage distributed on social media platforms reveals the scale of the damage that was caused to the Kalantri 148 Enclave police station, which is located at the intersection of Palestine Street in the heart of the capital, Tehran. The compound was attacked over the weekend by the Air Force. In footage from Iran that was published on social media over the last 24 hours, besieged members are seen leaving a school compound on motorcycles, which makes clear the fear amongst the regime members of an attack. The Israeli Air Force strikes against them are so precise and relentless that the frightening arm of the Revolutionary Guards has turned into cowardly mices, like Hamas terrorists in the Gaza Strip. They are hiding in schools and hospitals. They fear for their lives. Is Iran flattering the world? Iran announced the opening of the economic artery. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi announced that the Strait of Hormuz is open to everyone except the United States.
Except the United States and Israel. There you go.
So these police stations were the strong arm of the IRGC to intimidate and kill all those who were protesting in the streets.
Sure.
So now they're going after all the police stations, and I saw this one video. There was these policemen, and they're at some corner intersection, and there's 3 of them there, and they've got machine guns. And they're not looking at the people; they're looking up overhead to see where the drones are. So that was, and then another video was where one of these guys had a speaker, and it was the sound of a drone, and he played it, and then these guys start scrambling. So these guys are running scared. I mean, psychological warfare. If you're one of those guys, you're always looking up and. It's time to think about getting out of Dodge, but we'll see.
Think of your future. Yeah, they're running scared. All right. Switching gears, as we said before, to the spiritual topic of the day. Who is this Gog and where is Magog? Ezekiel 39:1, and you, son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against you, O Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn you about and drive you forward and bring you up from the uttermost parts of the north and lead you against the mountains of Israel. If you read Ezekiel 38 and 39, that's they're going to go. The rest of 39, they're going to go into the valley of Hamanag. It's Arabic, but translated into Greek, it is Armageddon, of which we know the term Armageddon, the last battle. It's going to be here in this valley. That's what 39 says. But what we're going to discuss is who is this Gog and where is he from? All right. Gog, many people think, is a title like Caesar or president.
A military or political leader.
Military or head of state, because it says he's the chief prince. He's the chief ruler of Meshech and Tubal. Well, where is Meshech and Tubal? It basically boils down to 2 different possible answers. One, of Meshech and Tubal, they say it is in the Turkey area, Asia Minor. If that is the case, or the second case, which is probably, I don't know, 50-50, but the second case is that Meshach and Tubal are on north of the Black Sea. That would put it in the area that's now occupied Russia and Ukraine, where the war is going on. So they're thinking that they actually come from that area, or God comes from that area, and that God will take him and drive him to the battle, because he's coming from the north. He's coming from the north. He said, and I will turn you about, and I will drive you forward. I will drive you forward. So I think Gog is an ancient name, which later became called different things, but I think at the end will be called the Antichrist. Again, could be wrong, but it seems like if 38 and 39 is Armageddon, and it says that Christ vindicates who he is, or reveals who he is as he reveals it in the form of Israel being in their land. And again, you have this in 39. If that's the case, then Gog is, but Gog, which precedes even the title of Antichrist. Ezekiel 39 is, this precedes Matthew 24, precedes Revelation. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's I see 39 as being it almost parallels the bowl judgments in Revelation 16. All the things that are happening, but the thing that throws me is the specific names of, in 38. It gives you Togomar and Russia and Libya and Iran, Gomar. It gives those specific names, and then it says it comes down in a time of peace. So when is that time of peace? Is there going to be peace after this Middle East war right now, or is there going to be another war later and before the Antichrist comes? And Israel says it will be at peace and there will be no walls in the city. So that, for me, that's the wrench that just keeps throwing me off. I definitely think the discussion in 39 is definitely parallels the bowl judgments.
So you think they may be possible there's two different gods?
I don't know if there's two different Gogs, because that term has been used since in Genesis. Was it Gog and Magog and Meshach and Tubal? These were all sons and grandsons of was it Ham? I forgot
specifically which son? I'm
not
sure.
I forgot, but they're mentioned in these exact terms are mentioned. So it has a spiritual significance behind it for sure, that these people are always oppressing Israel and God's kingdom, but. Yeah, we'll find out shortly, I think, though.
I believe we'll find out shortly.
So, but that's all I have on that subject right now. We could spend 6 hours on that and still not come to a conclusion.
We can go through many of the scriptures, but we'll just give you a taste, give you something to think about. So again, as always, thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, audience, for listening to us. We will continue to look heavenward as we eagerly await the coming of our Lord. And when he comes, what a day that will be. All right. Till next time, thank you, and God bless.